Well, Warren's pulled out all the stops on this one. Look at what he's given me to ride. Never ridden one. An Africa Twin. You think he's enticing me, and look at what it is as well. Look at that baby. And I'll tell you what, sounds a bit... What a beast. Got a cracking sound to it. Brand new. The dash, you need to go to college or university to learn how to use it. Now let's see what it rides like, because that's what matters, isn't it? I'm being a DCT boy. I'll get on the foot stand. It's quite... I'm 5'10" with a 29-inch leg. Stick it in drive. So we're just starting on it, so let's just... Oh, I'll tell you what, straight away people, I can tell straight away the brakes are just touching them. That 1 second, that front brake. It's got that lovely DCT. Self-cancelling indicators on it. So let's ride her home. Oh, it is buttery smooth, and we're in gravel mode. And it would help. I've actually put my reading glasses on when I'm driving. That don't work, people. So we'll just pull over. You can feel the difference in weight on this comparing to the NC. But I'll tell you what, feels beautiful. Feels a lovely, lovely bike. Very much on par with the way it feels to ride. A bit like the Transalp, to be quite honest with you. Now, user mode, user 2. So we'll just stick her in tour mode. And you feel a lot higher up on this than you do on, even though there's when you sit on it, they seem to be the same height. You feel a bit higher up. The seat is quite hard on it, but it's brand new. So them brakes are there. That is what the NC now needs. It does need much better brakes. The more I ride it, the more you get to know, you know, what your bike's missing. The gearbox, the DCT gearbox on this, and not forgetting, no people, this is an 1100cc. So it is going to be, it's going to be smoother. You know, the gearing is going to be slightly different in it. And the thing about getting on a bike like this when you've only got it for a short period is getting to know where everything is, you know, even though you go over the things. So urban, gravel, ABS off, off-road, I don't want to go off-road, user 1, power. So it's half power, half traction, and it's in manual mode by the looks of that. Or is it sports mode? Don't know. I'm going to have to read on it, aren't I? I don't like... This is the thing. Do you want to just get on a bike and ride it, don't you? Even though the DCT, even though the Honda NC750 has got a digital dash, a TFT dash, and it's got some electronics on it, it's just not as in-depth as this. Full power, user 2, electric braking is on full, traction is half, ABS is off. Is it on or off? It's in blue, so it's on. Sports is on. Let's try it in there. Back brake is good. And it's like I say to people, it's bouncy as well. Now, are the all the people who have got these Africa Twins, let us know, are the a digital suspension on them? Tour mode, so what's on tour mode? So I haven't read on it, I haven't gone into the information on this, I've just got it. I didn't know what I was getting till I went in there. But I think we're going to leave it in user 2. That I don't know why, that looks good for me. All them blue bits. And again, bike only revs at really 7,000, 8,000, you know, 10,000 max, but you're not going to do it on that. It's definitely got a lot more. It's got a lot more grunt than the NC has got. No ifs or buts. And I weren't even trying then. It was up to 50. The difference with the NC feels a lighter bike because it is a lighter bike. When you drop down on the gears there on your pedals, you don't seem to feel it as much as what you do on the NC. Lovely, it's a lovely seating position on it. And they have, I believe on these, what I've only seen online, they've got anti-wheelie control. It's not a bike I'd want a wheelie, to be quite honest with you. It feels more top heavy than the NC does. And for definite, it's like for filtering, it's a bigger beast for filtering. This is. I think, like you say, doing your tours on it. But people, you know, my first view on it, it's got a handbrake there as well, so you pull that in. I do to be honest, I do prefer the NC handbrake, but I prefer the NC handbrake, but prefer the NT's handbrake. I think that is by far the best one. That's a lever here. I think that's a really, really good, nice piece of kit. And that's thingy actually, so it's not even, we're in gear, and you get to just over 2,500 revs, and then it's just feeling like it wants to pull. The NC does more or less the same. Now it's running round in my head, people, the differences between them, because this is, like I say, the choice of bikes for me has always been between the Africa Twin and the Honda NC. But I find the NC, that versatile and that light and that agile and that easy to ride and that comfortable, that the comfort on it just, and the fuel economy. Because this bike will do I think the stats are 310 miles to a tank full. But I think, isn't it a 23 litre tank on it? You know, I'm getting 200 and really, if I run my bike near enough dry, I can get 270 miles on my NC. So on the NC you're getting at that, and that's on 14.1 litres, which is just basically 3.5 gallons. This has about 5.5 gallons or 5.3 gallons. The suspension is fabulous. It's got a lot of dive in it when you come to stop like that. I think the acid test is like getting out on the roads on it, isn't it? Actually going down the lanes and seeing what it's like. So I think what we'll do, we'll go down our little gravel track and we'll give it a ride down some a few little twisties, because I've just finished work, so it is definitely more. The suspension just leaves the NC for dead. The NC going over these bumps now, it would be a thump on it. On this, it glides over them. But they are different bikes, and let's get to the other side of it. This is £16,000. The NC is half this price. Half this price. Try and get my words out. So I think the NC I could quite easily spend £2,000 and put a really, really good top suspension on it. But going around bends, oh, do you know something? For a big bike, because the other thing, it's 238 kilograms to 245 kilograms, this bike, and that just glided round that corner. It went round like it was a little 400cc bike. It is a beautiful, beautiful bike to sit on. And like I say, the brakes are fabulous. A lot of dive on it, but what an absolute fabulous gizmo to have in your garage, eh? Now it's one of them, for me, again now, that's a big high dash, there's a lot going on in front of you there, and I get it, you know what I mean, but I do like your stuff down lower so you've got more space along there. I think it's just one of them things, like I say, when you get on these bikes, you have to grow into them. You just have to take your time and grow into them, and you start finding it's like now where I think that is just, for me, too high up and too in my face. I know that'll sound a bit weird, because the prominent thing there is I'm looking at is a dash, where the prominent thing I want to look at, whoa, it's holding on people, that's what I need to do. Yeah, it's quick, it's a quick bike, make no mistake on it, people. The prominent thing you want to do on these bikes is look round and see your surroundings. But I would have one of these in my garage, without doubt. And you just feel a lot, I don't know, you feel a lot higher up on this bike than you do on the NC. It's because the front end's on it. Let's just drop in there a bit. The wind on it, much better. I've still got wind coming round me, but I've got wind coming round the sides of my helmet now, so it's coming around my eye level, so we don't know how much that can go. I think that's in the full height position, so I think that screen you'd want to improve it a bit. But absolutely, it is beautiful. It is a beautiful bike. So they are electronic forks, you can see there. So there's without doubt there's loads of settings that you can do on this bike to change the way it rides, its behaviour, its performance. But it's very, very busy. You know, the controls are there's a lot of controls there to use. There's just, for me, there's too much there. You know, that's what I want on each side of the handle. Warren said again with the heated grips, there's a little switch on the back here to turn on the heated grips. That's built into the dash. I don't want to do that. I want to go to my heated grips and press a button and it's on. I don't want the faffing around on it. Would I say on the motorway, it's a fabulous bike, but the NC750 is just as fabulous as this. And to be honest, I'm getting wind now on my shoulders. My NC, I don't get it. It's got a lot more torque, people. It's got a lot, you know, the NC wouldn't even come close to this. I mean, that's 6 gear and it's like, oh, it is. If the 750 had this torque on it, oh, what a bike that would be. What a bike. And I'm not knocking this at all. I'm absolutely, like I say, I've never ridden this before. And as I'm going along, I'm feeling what I really do think. If, you know, if I was buying this, what would be going through my head now? And straight away, it's very buzzy through the handlebars. It's buzzy through the foot pegs and it's buzzy through the seats. Very much like the Transalp. The Transalp was very much the same. Cracking bike when you're riding it, but I could feel there, I don't have that buzziness, and especially at 60 mile an hour. But that, that pull back and go, you know, is real smile miles. Mirrors are good on it. And the, like I say, the grunts on it is really good. It's got really good grunt on it. I think what we're going to do, we're going to come off here. And this is the other side that you're doing now with my gloves on. I'm looking down at all the time because the indicator is right, but everything's very, very cramped is the word on that there. It's all really cramped. I'm doing what I told people not to do the other week. I'm looking for a space to get in, and it is really lethal because you've got cars coming up going straight on. But there we go, that's what I need, that little space there. Front brake on it is fabulous. Tiny touch on it and it's stopping. And like anything, the handlebars are much wider. The straight, my handlebars are set back a little bit further in. But this bike is absolutely, people, it's fabulous. You know, if you got 16 grand, you wouldn't go wrong spending with it. And that from it's very much like the NC, but the way I'd say it, the percentage of pull on this comparing to the NC like that from the same sort of speed, it's got about 20% more, and that 20% more is a lot. As I say, you've got many people who do massive reviews because they have these bikes a long time. But you know, a bike that you just want to go out on and do a tour on, it doesn't feel at all heavy. Like any bike, I think once you're riding it, they feel fabulous when you're riding them. But the turning on it, it's light. It actually feels lighter than the NC, the turning. The actual turning feels sharper on it. And you know, even with that bigger wide stance on it. Fabulous, people. It's at slow speeds it's a lot more jumpy, but what mode are we in? So we're in touring mode. Can it change on the go? Like with the NC, when you change, you drop your throttle off. So we're in off-road, we don't want to stay in off-road mode. Yeah, it can change on the go. So just drop your throttle off. User 1, user 2. We'll go in user 2. And that, I really don't like that. Do you see what I mean? This is things that when it's new, you want to flash someone where they are. It goes round bends extremely well. I mean, I've been in 3 modes now, and to be quite honest with you, I don't feel the difference between any of them. This mode, it's full power, so it's holding the gear longer. Or is that manual mode it's in? This is a bike, people, that when you buy it, you do need a bit of time to get used to the controls or to put it into. It's like I was saying with the NC, I stick mine in standard and off I go, and I use my paddles up and down. That's how easy that NC is to ride. And I think that's what you'd end up doing on this. You'd find a mode that you like, and that's what you'd leave it in. Got a lovely sound to it. But that, oh, again, compared to the NC pulls away, but it's 20% less than that. And the way you adapt that 20%, you drop it down on the pedal. So you drop it down a gear, and then you've got that bit of thing there. I know I'm going over and over myself, but you know, my mind's racing like a motorcycle. And it's like a first date, this is. So you're on it and you're talking and you're finding things that you've never done before, you've never touched before, and that's what it is. It's like a first date with it. But it'd make a fabulous commuter bike. I think the only side, I think I would be a bit nervous filtering on this bike because of the width of these bars. I'll have to measure these when we get back. It may be just the fact that they're straight. There may not be any difference in width, but it appears to be wider. I don't think that the front of the tank and the NC, there isn't that much difference between them, because the NC gives you good coverage in the wind on the tank side. You definitely, in the NC, you sat further down in the NC. You sat up on this. And I've heard a few people saying that you sat forward on this. You're not sat forward at all on it. My arms are well relaxed. A really, really comfortable position. Got a lovely bit of juice for coming out. mirrors are very clear, as you can see there. Just see a bit of my Richard jacket there. Yeah, I think this is a bike you could just sit in for hours and hours and just what I like doing. I don't think it'd do it any better than my NC, to be quite honest with you. On my first few minutes review, I think you'd be just as comfortable, because these are the speeds you'd be doing around the back roads. This is the way you'd be riding the bike. Where this will come into its own is proper gravel roads. And I wouldn't even say it on motorways, because the NC750 on the motorway is one of the best bikes you'll ever ride on the motorway, with a good like anything, with a good screen. That brake is fabulous on it. Oh, and I love the way it turns, because it's so nice of you to borrow me this. One can smile on his face when he gives him it. And this is where I say, people, you just can't beat the DCT. You just cannot beat it. I've not got the worry of getting me gear, second gear, first gear, third gear, first drop down. It does it for you, honestly. And I know people hate it, but if you want to enjoy your ride, you'll love it. It's weird, because the seating position, your legs are at 45 degrees. Let's just overtake a little bit. That's it, about as fast as I want to go on it. Yeah, it's got enough overtake on it. It's got enough. And the thing is, the more you ride it, the more it's a very relaxing bike to ride. I'm so relaxed riding this bike. You know, considering I've never ridden one of these. I've only sat on them in a showroom. And like I say, there's a few things on my first ride what I'm picking up, but there's no saying that would stay. It's like the dash. There's no saying the way I feel about that now. It's in my protruding eyeline. It takes my eyes off down to it. But there's no saying after a month's riding this bike, it'd probably pale into insignificance. You wouldn't even bother looking at it. You know, you just browse at the speed, and it's really good. 2 speed limits on it as well, so there's obviously a trickery and pokery stuff that goes on there. Let's just go up, do a bit of filtering. You do not feel when you drop down the pedals on it. You don't really feel them. You can feel the difference in the weight in it when you're going through. Gearbox is buttery smooth on it, but you can feel the difference when you're pulling up. You can feel the difference in the weight on it. The weight feels up high on this, where on the NC it's down low. And I'm sorry for people that love the Africa Twin. I ride a Honda NC750 and I harper on about them. So for me, if I was going to change, this is what I'm lining up with. I'm lining up because it's a DCT. So for me, it's a winner straight away. It's a winner chicken dinner, this bike, just for that DCT. But then you put into your perspective, what are you going to use it for? Do you know, I've bought a Hemi to go off-road and do green lanes. I haven't done any yet on it. I've had it 2 months, 3 months. I know it's winter time, but winter I should have been out on it. The realism about it, I ride bikes to work and back every day. And I have a weekend, I have a Saturday out or a Sunday out. That's what I do on my bikes. Now we're going to go down Hollybush Lane. We've been down it many times before, and we've all been down it. It's an uneven track. It's not anything brutal. A lot of bikes can go down it. The wind gets you on this Africa Twin. I can feel from the breezes from the side, it's pulling me about a bit. Again, look at the revs. 2000 revs, third gear. And again, when you come to stop, the actual brake lever as well, is that adjustable? Yeah, I'd have to adjust that to bring it in a little bit for me. Right, so this is one of my little tracks that I go down to test my bikes when I go on them. So let's just urban. So that's what it is. This track is a gravel track. That's what it is. So that's what we'll stick it in. And I do love this. It's a love. I love the views up here. It's fabulous. Standing up on it. Oh, you know, yeah. This bike is. You definitely get your legs on the tank. Really, really comfy. Now you can feel there's not lots and lots of grunting gravel, but yeah, it goes over them well. And I'll be dead honest with you, I preferred the Transalp over these bumps. The Transalp just soaked these up. This under gravel, they were a little bit hard. But fabulous. And I'm not going to go up and get stuck in the mud. We've done it on 2 bikes. We're not doing it on another one in these muddy fields, because I will not get this bike out. It's too heavy. And that's the truth of it for me. I know it's too heavy for me for muddy roads. I mean, these are slippy and gravelly. They're not good roads, you know what I mean? If you're not a confident rider, you're going to be off on them. And I can feel the weight on this as I'm riding up it. But it's fabulous. It's not a bike I'd want to ride really fast on it. Using my pegs to steer. Again, really good like that. I think we'll go down. This is the worst one of them. And you can't see this, but this road is properly, it's slanted. Don't know whether you can see it there. If you could see this road, you can see this is not a flat, easy track to ride on. You could quite easily, your front end can go on you. You have to really pick your line to go across it. And there we go, straight across there. That's how bad it is. Relax the arms and let the wheel take the pressure. Let your bike do the work, don't you do it. As I say, I certainly do not want to fall off this bike as a lone bike. But for doing this, much better than the NC on this road. Although the NC done well with knobbly tyres on, I wouldn't do it with your Dunlops or your Metzlers. Yeah, but I'm well impressed with this bike. It's lovely. It is a lovely bike. I think, in fairness, I would want to do well on that house. And here we go. Prime example. This is using my feet to get through. You can feel the weight in it. And, you know, I haven't got the panniers on here. I haven't got the camping kit on. You know, like looking at Richie V when he was out. And Richie V's a bigger lad than me. He's like 6 foot. Longer legs, so younger, stronger. Absolutely, people, it's fabulous. It is a fabulous bike. And it's a bike you'd grow confidence on it the longer you rode it. It's like any bike. I really don't believe this bike is for someone that's really any shorter than me, because it is a tall bike. And that's a lovely little foot there. How do wash the wheels off. Yeah, but it'll go anywhere. This bike will go anywhere. Fabulous. It's prominent. I do now really like that extra bit of juice that's on it from my NC. That's what the NC50 is, without doubt. It is. The NC50 is missing 15 brake horsepower, and it's missing a better front brakes and better back brake. The brakes at speed with that, really. It's a heavy bike, the NC. You know, it's 224 kilograms with a single. But that with this suspension, a little bit more brake, this, like I say, is going around bends, not even touching the brakes there, people, not even touching the brakes at all, letting the bike coast round. And she's 2000 revs at 28. It is a bit like the NC, it's a bit like a tractor. Now let's just get out of gravel mode. And the thing about it, that's the one thing about it, it's really good viewing on this bike. You can definitely see over the cars. Let's just stick in urban. So urban will be like rain mode, I presume. Power's half power. Slightly less electronic braking on it. Half traction. It's still got that, it does jump a bit when it's going into gear. You know, even in that, it's got more than enough. It's just buttery smooth. It's not anything like a sports bike. I think this is definitely a quicker bike than the NC, but when you're pulling away, it doesn't feel quicker. You know, when you pull that NC off in your sports mode, or in standard mode, it feels quicker than this does. This is just buttery smooth. The gearing on this is just much nicer. So would you have one in your garage? This is the thing. Now the next test for me on this bike will be getting it in my garage, because it is a bigger bike. Look at that's the Bolton Hills over there, Windy Hill. And this, without doubt, this bike in capable hands can do a lot more than what I could ever put a review on it. You know, I'm giving you a review as a nearly 60-year-old guy who's ridden bikes all his life. Doesn't mean I'm the best rider in the world. Doesn't mean I know the most about bikes. Just an honest review, my honest review on it. So let's just pull up here. A little spot. Oh, there's a tractor, something's been up anyway. Sticker in neutral. Stand is quite easy to get at. It leans over a bit. It's a tall beast. No centre stand on it. So you would need a centre stand on this bike. What a bike though, eh? Look at this. Fabulous piece of kit, isn't it, people? No tyres are on it. A bit muddy now. You know, they give it me nice and clean, and look at what I've done to it. Tubeless tyres. Fantastic DCT gearbox. Pretty bike, the NC, the Africa Twin. It's definitely a bike that you can see coming in it. Now, what size front wheel is that? Is that 21? Looks like a 21. Because the new one, the latest one has they have two, don't they? The Adventure Sports and the Adventure, and one has a 19, the new ones. But it does seem lower than one I looked at a long time back, a black one, which was a manual one. Fabulous bike though. You would never ever go wrong with that. I mean, look at the space in between there. And the wheels seem a lot narrower than what you'd think they are. LED lights all the way around. And I think that bike could be good for a pillion. Good pegs on it. Really impressed with the brakes on it. Brakes are well impressed with them. And what I'm looking at is whether, I was saying on one of my videos the other week about the dual inline braking, and they have two brake hoses and they go to a central cylinder where both brakes work together. I'll have to read on that because I'm pretty certain that most bikes do have it now. Right, let's get back on her. Use a foot peg this time. What's she like? And she's on a lean. I'll tell you what. She's better to move off a lean like this than the BMW. The dash is lazy as well, isn't it? Now I think that would thingy me a little bit. Gravel, off-road, user. So undoubtedly on here there's settings that you can adjust this. I could increase the power because you could see they're adjustable. So it's just a matter of how that's set and how to set them. So user 2. I think we'll leave it on that. So we'll stick her in drive and we'll we'll head her back. Down through Culture, down a nice windy road. And what I noticed on it, your gear, I'm looking at where the gear notification is, because I'd say we're in about second now, but there's no notification there. It seems to get to a certain speed and then it tells you what gear it's in. Really good coming up to slowing down and that. As I say, it is top heavy. For me it is. If you've got one, let me know in the comments. Now I'm looking there, we drive. Don't know what gear I'm in. Don't like that. I know I'm doing 40 miles an hour. So, right, so you go into tour mode, you can see now, you can see what gear you're in drive, your power's drop down. I honestly, people, do not feel the difference in them power modes. That's been on full power, I can't feel the difference in it. That's my personal opinion. It's like I said about the NC, it's like the NC, it's just got grunt when you pull back the throttle, you pull it back more, you've got more grunt. Very vibrator. It's quite shuddery, it's like I say, it's got a lot more vibration that goes through the handlebars and the pegs that the NC's got. But it's what you want. If you want power, if you want more power, yeah, I would say it's a good bike for it. The wind gets hold of you because you feel higher. It's grabbing me at the side and dragging me about a bit. Bit like the Transalp done that to me. Probably a little bit worse on the Transalp because the Transalp's lighter. But handling bike, this handles as good as any bike you'll ever ride. You can't feel, it's like there where you drop down the gear, you can't really feel it as much as you can feel it on the NC. The gearbox is much more refined, it's much more slick. It is without doubt a better DCT than the NC 750, without doubt. But that's where you're paying 16,000 quid, people. So your money is where your mouth is, as they say. I'm absolutely loving this. Absolutely loving it. And it feels beautiful just gliding around the lanes. It feels like you're flying, is the way I would put it. It feels like you're actually flying. You're like a bird, you're just floating along there. Coming to a bend, you just lean over with it. Fabulous feeling. You'd never get bored of it. I wouldn't like to push it. I watched Richie V's last one where he ended up pushing his bike. So he said a mile to a petrol station. I wouldn't like to push this bike for a mile. I wouldn't like to push it for 100 yards. And especially with all the gear on it. But as I say with the dash, I mean, it's saying, look, so it's saying 86.7 miles per gallon. It's got a tank range of 185 miles. Now this has got full tank in it. 14.2 volts. So where they're coming to 310 miles, As I say, that the brakes are fabulous, but it dives a lot. And again, we've said it again, there may be adjustment there where you can adjust your forks for preload and on it to stiffen it up a bit to stop that happening. But you know, 37 miles per hour, 2,000 revs, not even trying 6 gears, so you're in 6 gear, 30 miles an hour in 5th gear, and you're not even trying it. It's just, it's got plenty there if you want to pick it up. Well, people, I've thoroughly enjoyed this. I've actually had the chance now to ride the mighty Africa Twin and the DCT, and I honestly, at this moment in time, you know, on this ride home with it, I would still have my NC, honestly. And I do honestly say this, honestly, and that is possibly because I'm very familiar with it, and you know, maybe I just don't want, you know, I don't want the fast speeds out of the bikes anymore. I just want to be able to get on it and ride. I'm not really one for loads of gadgets. You know, even sat-navs, I'm not use them if I need them. I'd rather it just sit in my pocket. I'd rather just, everything I see around, I'd rather see around. But if they said you've got to have one of these as your bike, would I say no? No, I wouldn't. Not at all. There's parts on this bike that just leave the NC for dead. That extra bit of power on it, that braking on it, that suspension on it, even with the dive, it leaves it for dead. It's better. It's got an absolute beautiful riding stance. You feel secure on it. Like my NC, I got my NC. I feel totally secure on that bike. I feel at home. It's like I've never been on anything else. This is very much the same. It just feels fantastic. The things that go against it for me is all that lot. Is the screen too high for me? If it was down, you know, down here, up to here, I'd be happy with a better screen. There's not really many things that you could, you know, call it for. The top heaviness on it would go a little bit against me, especially when you're, again, when you're putting your panniers on it, when you put your tent, like for me, you put your tent and all your bits and pieces on, there's a lot more weight going up top on it. But you get used to it, don't you? You get used to however you set up your bike, whatever bike you have, in time you just get used to it. But you know, I think for the fully spec one of these, I could have an NC 750 and I could have the likes of the Transhelp. Do you know what I mean? That's what I could have. But don't let me put you off, because if you went into the shop and got on it, you may have a completely different opinion. And there's one thing without any doubt whatsoever: you could munch miles on this bike. As I say, it's a heavy bike, it's a big heavy bike, but doesn't feel it when you ride it. Really doesn't feel it when you ride it. It really does hold the road well. It really does glide over these roads really well. The suspension absorbs these types of roads really well. It's got a lovely tone to her. And at that, my lovely tubers, the Birchwood bike on an Africa Twin on a DCT. I'm still smiling like a Cheshire cat. I'm still loving it. And the way this bike leans is fabulous. You'll love it. Right, ride safe, be kind. And people, we've arrived back, and the one thing I did notice, I've got no frunk. I've got no frunk on it. And going inside, look at the difference in that. Wow. These are 7 foot, just short of 7 foot wide. It is a big beast.